Where shall we go? Maruran Mandanga Baji Paramarasala Bahu Kotri Chandra Dini Madanajuvala Mala Deshe Banamala Kori Dhamala Gala Deshe Banamala Kori Dhamala Shiva Sukanarana Preme Gana Gana Shiva Sukanara Preme Gana Gana Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gorasampada Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gorasampada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ite Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Sunyavari Vasata Satarane. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadha Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadha Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadha Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramamsa Participari Asasata Shakta Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Natikoti Vaishnava Vinda Ki Jai. Namatari Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. From Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nishnanda Sri Aveta Gadhar Sri Vastagora Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shamakun Radhakun Girvagona Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai. Mathura Dhamma Ki Jai. Navadipi Dhamma Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Yogamaya Ki Jai. Gangamaya Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Kashipurvaksha Shilatankana Kalaye Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimha Pahi Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Arhari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Lahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Lord Nrsimhadev ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai.
such a fallen soul. Bhagavad Gita, introduction prayers. Om Jana Tamarandasya Janmajana Shalakya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasme Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapanantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raguna Tanavitam Tam Sajivam Savetam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakana Vishakcha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namo Sute Tapta Kanchana Garangi Radhe Vrindavan Vasare Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamani Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatra Rupyacha Kripa Sindhu Ibevacha Paritanam Bhavanapayo Vaishnavanayo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Starting at Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 47. Well, 47 we left off at, so verse 48. Yoga Shaitan Kuru Kamani Sangam Takva Dhanajaya Siddhi Ashyata Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchayate. Translation: Be steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna. Perform your duty and abandon all attachments to success or failure. Such heaviness of mind is called yoga. Let's do the next verse.
Text 49. Turena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddho sharanam anvicha kripana palahetava. Translation: O Dhananjaya, rid yourself of all fruitive activities by devotional service and surrender fully to that consciousness. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers.
Text 50. Buddhi yukto jahatita ube sakra dushakre tasmad yogaya yujayasva yoga kamashu kashalam. Translation: A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad actions even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, O Arjuna, which is this art of all work.
Text 51. Karma jambudhi yuktahi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmukta palam gacchantya namayam. Translation: The wise, engaged in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord and free themselves from the cycle of birth and death by renouncing the fruits of action in the material world. In this way, they can attain that state beyond all miseries.
Text 52. Yarate moha kalilam budhir vayatir rishet yati tada ganshati nirvindam shratavayasya trutasyacha. Translation. When your intelligence is passed out of the dense force of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard.
Text 53. Shruti vipratipana te yada stasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhis tata yogam avapsyasi. Translation. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness.
Text 54. Arjuna uvacha sihita prajanyasya kabasya samadhi shatasya keshava shitita kim parashyata kimashita virajeta kim. Translation. Arjuna said, "What are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged into transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk?"
Text 55. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanyevatmana Tushta Stita Pragyasta Dochate. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness.
Text 56. Dukeshu and Vignadmana Sukeshu Vigata Sripa Vita Raga Baya Krodaya Shehita Dir Manir Uchayate. Translation. One who is not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is also called a sage of steady mind.
Text 57. Yasarvatra bhisnehas tattat prapyata shubham nabhinandati na dveshti tasya pragya pratishtita. Translation. He who is without attachment, who does not rejoice when he obtains good, nor lament when he obtains evil, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge.
Text 58. Yara samharte chayam kurmo niganiva sarvashaha indraya aryaptibaya stasya prajya parishita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as a tortoise draws his limbs within the shell is be understood as truly situated in knowledge.
Last text, text 59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya parang drishtva nivartate. Translation. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness.
Text 48, translation. Be steadfast in yoga, Arjuna. Perform your duty in abandoning all attachments to success or failure. Such evenness of mind is called yoga. Evenness of mind is called yoga. Purport. Krishna tells Arjuna that he should act in yoga. And what is that yoga? Yoga means to concentrate the mind upon the Supreme by controlling the ever-disturbing senses. And who is the Supreme? The Supreme is the Lord. Because he himself is telling Arjuna to fight, Arjuna has nothing to do with the results of the fight. Gain or victory are Krishna's concern. Arjuna is simply advised to act according to the dictation of Krishna. The following of Krishna's dictation is real yoga, and this is practiced in the process called Krishna consciousness. By Krishna consciousness only can one give up the sense of proprietorship. One has become the servant of Krishna or the servant of the servant of Krishna. That is the right way to discharge duty in Krishna consciousness, which alone can help one to act in yoga. Arjuna is a Satriya, and as such he is participating in Varnashram Dharma institution. It is said that the Vishnu Purana and the Varnashram Dharma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu. No one should satisfy himself, as is the rule in the material world, but one should satisfy Krishna. So unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Indirectly, Arjuna has advised to act as Krishna told him.
Text 49, translation. O Dhananjaya, rid yourself of all fruitive activities by devotional service, and surrender fully to that consciousness. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Purport. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord gives up all engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work, just to be further entangled in material bondage. Except for working Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. Like the misers, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord.
Text 50, translation. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad actions, even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, O Arjuna, which is the art of all work. Purport. Since time immemorial, each living entity has accumulated the various reactions of his good and bad work. As such, he is continually ignorant of his real constitutional position. One's ignorance can be removed by the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches one to surrender unto Lord Sri Krishna in all respects and becomes liberated from the chain victimization of action and reaction, birth after birth. Arjuna is therefore advised to act in Krishna consciousness, the purifying process of the resultant action.
Text 51. The wise, engaged in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord, and free themselves from the cycle of birth and death by renouncing the fruits of action in the material world. In this way, they can attain that state beyond all miseries. Purport. The liberated living entities seek that place where there are no material miseries. The Bhagavatam says, Samashrita palapalava plavam mahatpadam punya bhavam buddhi vatsapadam param padam param padam param padam yadvipadam natesham. Bhagavatam 10:14-15. For one who has accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of Mukti, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Param Padam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikunta, is his goal, not the place where there is danger in every step of life. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust by fruitive activities, thinking that resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material miserable life nor the influence of time and death. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness, and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself, and thus pays the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding that his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord, at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called Karma Yoga, or Buddhi Yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord.
Text 52. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Report. There are many good examples in the lives of the great devotees of the Lord of those who become indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service to the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahmana, Sri Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee and acharya in the line of the devotees, says, Sanjaya Vandana Bhadram Astu Bhavato Bhosana Tubayam Namo Bodevam Pitarascha Tapana Viro Namam Kishamayatam Yatra Kavapi Nashyatya Yadava Kulata Masya Kamsat Divsha Samaram Agama Ahame Taralam Manye Kimanyana Me. O Lord, in my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. Bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Cosma, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes, comprehending all kinds of prayer 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respects to the forefathers, etc. But one is, but one, but when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in the revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engages in rituals, etc., then he is usually wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness transcend the limit of Shabda Brahma, or the range of the Vedas and Upanishads.
Text 53. Translation. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will attain the divine consciousness. Purport. To say that one is in samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness. That is, one in full samadhi has realized Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servitor of Krishna and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. A Krishna-conscious person, or unflinching devotee of the Lord, should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be in the transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master.
Text 54. Arjuna vacha shihita prajanjasya cha vasha samadhi shahatyasya keshava shihita dikim prabhashita kim ashita vrajeta kim. Translation. Arjuna said, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus emerged into transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? Purport. As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of this particular situation, similarly one who is in Krishna consciousness has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as a diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms, so as a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms in the Bhagavad Gita. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks, for speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is uncovered as long as he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow, as stated below.
Text 55. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Purport. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all the good qualities of the great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendentally situated has no good qualifications, because he is sure to be taking refuge in his own mental concoctions. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, all kinds of sense desire, artificially such sense desires cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then, automatically, sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. Therefore, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation, for this devotional service will instantly help one on to the platform of transcendental consciousness. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Such a transcendentally situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord.
Text 56, translation. One who is not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. Purport. The word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to effectual conclusion. It is said that every Muni has a different angle or a vision, and unless a Muni differs from other's Munis, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of the term. Nashu Manur Yasha Matam Na Binam. But a Sahita di Muni, as mentioned herein by the Lord, is different from the ordinary Muni. The Sahita di Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all business of creative speculation. He has surpassed the stage of mental speculation and has come to the conclusion that Lord Sri Krishna, or Vasudeva, is everything. He is called a Muni fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna-conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds, and he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to the lowest. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of his happiness. He realizes that it is due only to the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable condition and able to render better service to the Lord. And for the service of the Lord, he is always daring and active and is not influenced by attachment or aversion. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and detachment in his absence of such sensual attachment. But one fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. Consequently, he is not at all angry, even when his attempts are unsuccessful. A Krishna conscious person is always steady in his determination.
Text 57, translation. He who is without attachment, who does not rejoice when he obtains good, nor lament when he obtains evil, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Purport. There is always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in perfect transcendental position, in a perfect transcendental position, called technically samadhi.
Text 58. Translation. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as a tortoise draws his limbs within the shell, is to be understood as truly situated in knowledge. Purport. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. Yogi or devotee must be very strong to control the serpents like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment is not possibly firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up his senses and exhibit them again at any time for a particular purpose. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord, example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. So I'm not sure if people are familiar with the term institutionalized. It's a term that you come across that you hear from former prisoners who served time in prison. This world is very much like a prison, and many souls have become institutionalized. Where I've been told that from one former inmate that at first it's you hate the walls around you, and after a while you get to grow and get used to them. Then the prisoners that's been there the longest, that has spent decades behind bars, they don't know what to do if they got out. And so many, time after time again, that when they do get out, they go out and commit a crime to get right back in because that's the life that they've become accustomed to. So much like in the material world, we're continually coming back over and over and over again. So accustomed, so used to. It's much like when you give a sweet to a pig. The pig just doesn't eat it right away. It rolls it around in its manure, then eats it, because that's all it knows. Krishna consciousness gives us a way out of this prison, way out of this ever-going suffering. It's interesting because in my lifetime, we went from so many states and so many laws that were against marijuana, making it illegal and people going to jail, people being fined over it. Now they've loosened the standards so much, and now people seem to can't go without it. Used to be like there used to be dry periods, where you couldn't find it. But now it's readily available. It's accessible. But you realize what happens with one of these marijuana users that smokes every day? And you say, "Oh, you're out of money, and there's no one's going to give any to you." They're miserable condition. And this is something that's supposed to help people, but it's just like giving a sweet to a pig. They don't know what's good for them. Krishna consciousness is the way out. Taking the Bhagavad Gita as our anchor. The way out of this material attachment, this material prison. The grass is always greener on the other side in this material world. We can keep on chasing these dreams, these illusions, but in the end, it's just an illusion. It disappears, just temporary happiness. Much like it's water torture. How the CIA uses water torture they start pouring water on a person, trying to keep them from breathing and do it over and over to where they're trying to gasp for air. That's pretty much what the material world is. Each breath is just a slight, reprieve from the miseries. What we might call a little bit of happiness in between each misery. Is there any thoughts? Shall we continue on to another few verses? Yeah, should we read another few verses?
58. Text 59. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Purport. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process, like Ashtanga Yoga, in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good if one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So I have a question on this one. It says that, but one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual. Oh, okay, I understand. I was gonna say I was gonna ask if what Prabhupada meant by less intelligent neophytes, but I realized that that's like I I I remember that he was talking about uh, other spiritual practices like yoga and things like that. So I Prabhupada answered my question. Thank you.
Text 60. Translation. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, they are forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Purport. There are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses, but in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. Even Vishvamitra, a great sage and perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe types of penance and yoga practice. And of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Therefore, it is very difficult to control the mind and the senses without being fully Krishna conscious. Without engaging the mind in Krishna, one cannot see such immaterial engagements. A practical example is given by Sri Yamuna Yamacharya. uh, Yamanacharya, a great saint and devotee who says, since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, wherever I think of whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it, and I spit at the thought. Krishna consciousness is such a transcendently nice thing that automatically material enjoyment becomes distasteful. It is as if a hungry man had satisfied his hunger by a sufficient quantity of nutritious eatables. Maharaja Ambaraja also conquered a great yogi, Durvasha Muni, simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness.
Text 61, translation. One who restrains his senses and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Purport. That the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. As cited above, the great sage Durvasa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualifications, as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachangsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane Karo Hare Mandira Marjana Karo Hare Mandira Marjana Dishu Shrutim Chakara Chuta Satkatodaye Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tadbrityagata Sparshinga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Sorabe Srimatulasya Rasanam Tadarpite Pado Hare Kshetra Padanusarpane Shiro Hishikesha Pada Bivandane Kamun Shadasye Natu Kama Kamyaya Yatottamashloka Janashraya Rati. Translation. King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matparaha devotee of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 9:4:18-20. The word Matparaha is most significant in this connection. How one can become a Matparaha is described in the life of Maharaj Ambarish. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the Matparaha, remarks, Mad Bhakti Prabhavena Sarvendriya Vijaya Purvika Swatma Drishti Sulabheti Bhavaha. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As the small flames within burn everything within the room, similarly, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu, and not meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something which is not the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. We have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.